Welcome to Nightmare365.
This is the center of weirdness for the entire planet.
There's tons of unsolved mysteries out there. Witches still exist.
What about monsters?
Do you believe in ghosts?
Bigfoot is not out there.
Bigfoot is definitely out there. UFOs are real.
UFOs might be real.
Do you believe in conspiracies?
I consider myself a conspiracy theorist.
I want to believe in all these case files.
Trust no one. The government lies to you.
We're just two brothers exploring the unexplained, mysterious, and spookiness that lives among us. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the center of weirdness known as Nightmare365 Radio. I'm Matt.
I'm Greg.
And today we are opening up the Eerie Vault for case file 57. And everybody's heard stories of cryptids, monsters, aliens, Bigfoots, all these weird monsters that are in small towns, just like the one we're talking about, that takes place in Wisconsin, in Elkhorn, on a 4-mile stretch of road out in the middle of nowhere. And the Beast of Bray Road lurks.
It lurks.
It lurks around there. It's been seen.
It's been seen.
It's been talked about since the 1990s.
I mean, it goes back earlier than that, like the original legend, 1937?
Yeah, I saw reports of that, but I couldn't find too much information on it.
No, it didn't become popular until the 1980s.
Yeah, in the 1980s, 1990s. And one of the things that I found, too, really interesting about this, there was a song that was played, and then there was a rash of sightings.
Correct.
So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. We're going to look more into that when we're opening up this Eerie Vault. But this one's pretty good because it's all about werewolves, and who doesn't love werewolves? You know, you have the sound of the werewolf, you know, the look of it, the fear. It just, I don't know, it embodies everything about, like, this time of year. Like, Halloween's coming, and it scares people for some reason. I don't know why.
It definitely does scare people.
Even when in our own town there was these reports of coyotes and different things that were being seen, and people just panicked. But nothing ever happened.
You're not used to it.
I get it, but it's just like, you know, we are by nature, and this is what happens. They're just running around. They're looking for food. They didn't harm really anybody,
no.
But people did panic. And I think that's why, like, just looking at the Beast of Bray Road itself, it's an interesting case. And I don't think, I mean, I know what you think it is, and we'll get into it.
Sure.
But I just think this is one of the cryptids that I really love. Like, werewolves go back. I mean, just in ancient times, when I was just looking up some of the history on werewolves itself, you know, and goes back until, what was it, 1100? And it just all throughout Europe, the folklore that is associated with it, you know, the different types of shape-shifting. A lot of people believe, you know, it goes back to the story of Zeus.
Sure.
You know, where liking, and he, you know, deemed him and damned him to the world of shaping him into a wolf, and he just had to go around. It's also like werewolves are linked into witches.
Yeah, witchcraft.
There's all these different stories, you know, going back to the 16th, 17th, 1800s, and here in the United States as well. And the Beast of Bray Road, like you said, it does, you know, there is, you know, even on the, you know, definitions, or when you look it up, the Bray Road Beast, it's called, the Dog Man.
The Michigan Dog Man, I think it was.
Yeah, there's all these different names for it. And just this community, they didn't embrace it. It's more of like it's just a story that's being passed around from generations. And then just the 1990s. Think about that. That's not too long ago.
Yeah, like 20, 30 years ago.
Yeah, so it makes me think, like, is it just something that was brought out by hysteria by these people?
I don't know. There probably was something out there, or is something out there.
And then they just couldn't explain it. And then all of a sudden it was just one of these things where they just said, all right. And it's always these small towns, too, that these things happen. I wonder if that's more coincidence or...
No, I think it's just like because it's more rural. It's more like less populated. It's more like in the middle of nowhere that animals can thrive and, you know, survive without much scrutiny or, like, you know, within the public eye.
I think so, too. And I mean, it interests me, too. It's not like something like we said, it happened here with like the coyotes and the different animals that were spotted here, and there was a big panic. Like it was all in the news, the papers, everybody in the neighborhood was talking about it. But here, I would think most of them are farmers out here in Wisconsin, and they're used to bears, they're used to wolves, they're used to like all these different animals, deer. Most of them, I'm sure, hunt a lot. So
Sure.
it makes me wonder, like when they see these sightings, is it something
Yeah,
that
but
they truly believe and it's something that's really happening? Or are they just, when people panic,
I mean, it could be just be like a rabid animal, like that's just maimed or like deformed in some way that you really can't explain what it is.
Yeah, it's true. And the way that they describe the Beast of Bray Road, if anybody's not familiar with this, it's described by witnesses as a bear-like creature, as a hairy biped resembling something like Bigfoot almost. And it's usually when it's on all fours, 2 to 4 feet tall. And then when it's standing upright on 2 feet, it's about 7 feet tall. And I always have a thing with this too, because eyewitnesses, I think, suck. And any accounts, like when I see something out, I don't know how tall it is.
Sure.
I can't, see how big it is.
Yeah, but you can always be like, it's taller than me or it's shorter than me.
Yeah, but when people put like, oh, it's 2 feet.
I'm just saying.
I guarantee, like, if you go up to somebody and be like, how tall am I? And they'll be like, oh, I don't know. Like, there'd be tons of different ranges.
Yeah,
and
there
then when
would
people
be.
say, like, oh, it's standing at 7 feet tall, that just means, like, all right, it's bigger than I am. Or, like 2 to 4 feet, it's smaller.
Sure.
So, I don't know. And this was an intelligent werewolf-like creature, able to walk on its hind legs. And, again, the weight of it varies in descriptions, about 400 to 700 pounds. And its fur, its color brown, grayish color, resembling almost a dog or a bear. So that was some of the things too. And yeah, it gets associated with a number of different theories from these, like a wild dog, like a wolf dog, all these, the Michigan dog man. And I think it was more of hysteria on this than anything else, but there were some really good points. And one of the main people that, started getting into this case by accident was Linda Godfrey. And she wrote tons of books on just like legends in the United States. She published a book, Beast of Bray Road.
Yep, back in the day, yeah.
And you could, she has her home blog website if you look at lindagodfrey.com, which I think we'll link up in the show notes, because you could read about the real Wolfman, Beast of Bray Road, all about different types of werewolves, different legends. One of the things that got me with this story, and I was watching Small Town Monsters documentary, which I think they've been getting better. But this guy Lee in the story, and I showed you the picture.
Yeah, you did.
And it was interesting to me because in the movie itself, the documentary, they brought up a couple different points. They said, all right, it could have been some type of regular animal that people misidentified.
Yeah, it could be.
It could be something like a creature that was like almost like a bear with mange.
Yeah.
And a lot of people theorized that, like, it was like some type of animal with mange that looked weird, different,
Yeah.
not the type of norm. And then they also talked about, like, satanic rituals that were happening there.
Sure.
Like, just weird people talking about that. They did go into the legends of the werewolf. They shaped it into the actual documentary, which I thought was cool. But then this gentleman, Lee, who actually lives on Bray Road or adjacent to Bray Road, he was experiencing some weird stuff on his property. And, the local townsfolk were just like, all right, the Beast of Bray Road lives by you. And,
I mean, I would do it. I would do exactly what he did.
yeah, and he set up trail cams. He was just, monitoring the property. He said he found weird footprints, all these different things. The thing that got me, which I would love to talk to him about, is when he set up the trail cam, he would talk about how he put this deer in the brush.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden...
here's like my first question, though.
Okay.
Why would you put it in the brush?
Well, it's off to the side. Like, the brush is, like, not on, like, his property of main, like, crops that he's,
I know, but I would put
tilling.
it, like, out in the open where I can see, like, everything. Or, like, just make a clearing, maybe.
So you would... all right, so
'Cause I wanna
you
see
would
everything.
set it up.
Yeah, because, like, you could be, like, crawling down in the brush and not really see it.
No, I get what you're saying, but most of the time when you do put animals, like, on the side of the road, if they were, roadkill, and apparently that happens a lot on this 4-mile stretch of property, deers going out into the street, raccoons, and he said he would set them off in the side of the property just to,
Yeah, clear them away.
yeah, decompose. But when you would come back to the trail camp sometime, there was these like pictures of mist. And he said, when they would either be decapitated, like almost like cut open and their entrails were taken out, or they'd be eaten, or they disappear completely. And which is not unusual.
No, it's not unusual because all other animals take other animals to eat.
Right. And who knows if somebody else is coming back, and that's where it gets back to the point of these satanic rituals. Is somebody coming back and actually cutting these things up? Yep. But then you would see that in the trail cam, which you don't. The only thing you see is this like gray mist. But it's just in that one area, so it's really, really odd.
It is odd.
And he did say in the documentary as well, he said he was experiencing strange lights, too, in the sky. So does it have a link to some type of UFO activity? Like, that's what they were getting at, but they didn't actually, elaborate on that. So it was interesting to me. And some of the theories that they brought up I thought were really cool. And then just some of the stuff that I found on, on our own, just with the werewolf and just the Beast of Bray Road, too. I don't know. This one...
Yeah, I mean, you could look at it in a lot of different directions. Is it a Bigfoot? Is it a werewolf? Is it like a bear with, a deformity? Is it like almost like a wolf that's just bigger? Because they did think it was like a prehistoric, almost like dog or something like that.
Yeah,
that lived way back in the day.
Yeah, it could. And I don't know like too much of the base of this area.
Sure.
And it was kind of cool because I did talk again to Jay Pachochin, which we had on the show, and talking about him. And he lives out in this area. And he was the one who told me to, get in touch with Linda Gottfried. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in touch with her in time before we did the show, and she didn't reach back to us. But, talking to him, he's had sightings of Bigfoot, and he also had sightings that he said of wolf-like prints that were the size of his hands.
Yeah, so like a bigger style wolf.
And that's crazy because you don't hear reports of that coming in, like just bigger wolves that they see in the area.
No.
But he's has pictures, and you see, you could see them. You can go online and you could watch his documentary too.
Yep.
And it's just to see these prints, it almost leaves you with so many questions.
Yeah, I mean, like, you don't, like, the wilderness is so vast, you don't know what's out there, and you don't know, like, people don't really realize how big it is.
No, trust me.
And, like, even with all the technology and all the things that we do have, like, things can go undetected.
Oh, of course. And just seeing this amount of property that's out there, when you actually look at Bray Road, and, went on Google Maps and was trying to look at it and see this 4-mile stretch, most of it's farmland, but then you have on each side of these houses and the roads is just wilderness.
Yeah.
So something could be living in this. And I don't know. I really love the whole lore of the werewolf itself.
Yeah.
And just kind of, you always see that like Monster Squad, you have the werewolf. Kick him in the north. Yep. Kick him in the north.
Teen Wolf.
Teen Wolf is another great one.
Either the movie or the TV series, yeah.
Yeah. And there's just the wolf symbolizes something. And do you think going back in history, these stories started from somewhere?
Sure.
And maybe these like dog-like creatures, wolf creatures existed, and maybe they were bigger at the time.
Yeah.
And people identified them just the way that they did, and they were just passed down through generations. But then, like,
I don't know, like, you think about it, like, just think about like a regular dog. A regular dog is very, very smart, and they're very intelligent. So let's say there was like a bigger dog.
Yeah.
Who's very intelligent, because some of them, I'm sure, like, you could teach a dog anything, and they're very like super intelligent. So if you had like a bigger dog, like a bigger wolf dog, let's say weighs like 200 pounds, who can stand on its hind legs and like not communicate but know what's going on, I'm sure that's where the lore maybe started.
Yeah, it's just been around for so long. I mean, you can go back even further, just do some reading in the 16th century earlier and just see how much information is on like these creatures, and then just to say, all right, maybe it was just passed down, but we all have it in the back of our mind. So it always makes me wonder, why all of a sudden at this pinpoint in time in the 1990s, late 80s, 1990s, in Elkhorn, Wisconsin, somebody just comes forward and says, like, did somebody really have an experience? And then all of a sudden, now the stories get like blown out, and it is really hysteria than anything else. And then more sightings come up because it always seems to happen that way, right?
Well, most people just jump on the bandwagon. I think like, oh, I saw something in the bushes. Like it was that.
Right.
You know, like I think probably like 8 out of 10 people didn't see anything, and the last 2 probably saw something.
Yeah, see, that makes me wonder too, and you always have to try to see how many witnesses are credible, how many aren't, you know, and then you just have to say to yourself, all right, this makes sense.
Well, because like you could fake that trail camera footage as well. Like you could put like a smoke bomb or, you know, something like that and, you know, hide behind the camera.
True, you can.
And just delete the other photos from your camera.
I don't know why he would, though.
I'm just saying
he was like a former teacher, and he was retired, and he took up, I don't know if his like farming was his whole life, and then he just kind of, you know, pursued it a little bit more in retirement.
Sure.
And then stuff was happening on his property, and then he just, because I don't know, like, what's the payoff? Like, you're just sitting there and like trail cam, and then just, I guess you get on TV.
Yeah, some people like to feel important, get on TV, get in the local newspaper. I don't know. Some people just need the attention.
Yeah, I like Linda Godfrey, like, did it really, really well, because she didn't start out like, you know, like a journalist to say like, all right, I'm out here reporting on this. It was almost like she was collecting stories after stories, and then talking to some of the people. And I thought one of the most credible people that she talked to was, you know, like an animal control person. And he would say, you know, there was a lot of sightings and people, you know, I saw a bunch of stuff, and there was a lot of unexplained stuff. And he had like a folder, just werewolf.
Yeah.
And like that couldn't be explained. So it always makes me wonder, and you know, we'd have no opportunity to question some of these witnesses.
Sure.
To say, all right, what did you see? When did you see it? Not to say like I don't believe them, because whatever they saw, they believe they saw.
Sure.
And I can't, you know, discredit that because I wasn't there. But at the same time, with all the amount of creatures that have been reported, like, think of how many stuff that we have talked about, like the Jersey Devil.
Sure.
You know, like Bigfoot, all these different things. And then how come we don't see them more regularly than some of these other cryptids, or, you know, like animals that seem to be always around, like bears? People see bears. People have taken pictures of bears, you know, mountain lions.
Yeah.
But then some of these, whatever you want to call them.
Maybe they're just more intelligent. They stay away from us.
Yeah, that makes me wonder, like, where are they living? You know, what are they really eating? Is it something almost like, I don't want to get too much into supernatural stuff, but like almost like coming from another dimension? Like, what if that mist really is something where it opens up a portal and they just come running through, but they don't even know that they're running through this portal?
Yeah, but then why would they? I don't know.
They're just animals, and then they just like scavenge and then just like leave, and then it's almost in like a different time, even though it's this time.
I mean, that could be like a little space jump, like a rift in the space jump.
I mean, I'm just going off on just like some weird stuff that, you know, just makes me think of like, all right, what can these possibly be seeing?
It could be a big wolf that hurt its front leg and just walks on its hind legs now.
That'd be really weird. Yeah, and that's what Linda Gottfried said too. Like, if you know, look at her writings and then some of the documentaries and shows that she was on, she did talk about that, and she talked about like the evolution of certain animals. Now, if enough animals got hurt and they almost portrayed like, yeah, they started walking on 2 legs, and then eventually, like, further down the line, you know, that's what they naturally do. They can get up and down, move around, look above like the brush or the tree lines, the brow lines, and are able to just really do this. But then it makes me wonder, because that's like the big thing with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
If the rash of sightings keep happening and people keep seeing this stuff, then there has to be a big enough population. So it makes you wonder, how come we haven't seen more of it?
Yeah, or even one of them like dead, like in the road or something, hit by cars or anything like that.
Right.
Because you see deers, you see, you know, moose, you see all that kind of stuff hit by cars. I don't think you really see bears hit by cars.
No. Yeah, you don't really see too many bears hit by cars. I mean, it's mostly smaller animals, especially around here. It's a lot of deer, and like I see possums, raccoons, but yeah, you don't see any other animals. And then maybe like we don't see wolves really get hit by cars. Like I
No.
never seen or heard of a wolf
I'm
or a
sure it
coyote
happened,
around
but
here.
yeah, no.
So it makes me wonder: are they more
Probably more
apt to stay
intelligent.
away? Yeah, are they more intelligent than we give them credit for, or are they more apt to just stay away from like humans? Because I remember seeing the coyote up personal, like in the space where we were at, and all of a sudden I was like, oh, whose dog is that? And then when we like actually focused on the thing, we were like, oh shit,
Yeah, yeah.
it's an actual coyote. And then it just ran off because obviously it's scared of us too.
Yeah.
But then most people, get really panicky and like, oh my God, like we have to go out and find it. We have to kill it. It's like, it's just in nature. It's just walking, looking for food. It's like what we're doing.
Yeah.
If you just saw a regular person, would you be like, oh, we got to kill that person? Like
No.
they're just walking on my property. Oh my God,
Yeah,
some
yeah.
people might, but so you think when we were talking about this, you just think it's a misidentification of a bear.
Yeah, bear or wolf. Yeah, I think it's a misidentification.
Yeah, and we had the pictures from, if you go to Linda Godfrey's, blog post, and then it was tagged. You could look at it. The other mystery object in Roy Smith's field and on Smith's camera. And this one, again, it's too far away. Let's see if I could zoom into this one picture.
It kind of looks like, I don't know, like a bear with longer, I don't know, like a longer arms almost.
Yeah, it does. Like if you look at the body, and I'm going to link her website up, and what we're looking at is, I could show you the title. We're looking at, like I just said, if you just look at post tags, Lee Hampel, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
But it just says the other mystery object in Roy Smith's field and Smith's camera, and it's from 2016. And she, goes into detail, and I'll let people read this. But yeah, if we zoom in on the second picture, it does look like a bear.
Yeah, it looks like a bottom of a bear.
But then also, I don't know if you noticed this, but like the head almost looks like an ape-like head.
Yeah,
so could this be like a
gorilla?
Bigfoot? Yeah. So could it be like a gorilla that's just out there? I don't know if they
could be a Bigfoot.
That'd be crazy. Like, see, this one's just
That's
too blurry.
More blurry, and it just looks like a bear to me in that one.
This one just looks
like a human.
It does, but it looks like the back of a bear.
Yeah.
Like actually, if you really look at it close, like this one definitely looks like a bear more than anything. It looks like a brown bear. Like you could see like the head. This is the snout.
Yeah.
And the face. So this one looks more like a bear to me. The other two are like too blurry. But then this one, I guess it depends on like when this was taken. If the bear was like jutting its face and it almost just looks like that.
Yeah, it almost looks darker than it really is. Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, so that was the only one that looked weird to me in terms of saying it's like a Bigfoot or a gorilla type. And that was what interests me about the Beast of Bray Road, is because there's tons of different sightings. People do describe it as like a wolf-like creature, like a humanoid creature. People like talk about the bear. That was a lot of things.
I mean, it could be a bunch of different animals that people just see, and then
right, and they clump it all
together, and then it just gets mashed into one, like a bear wolf-like creature.
Yeah, this one, I don't really have an explanation for it. I don't know. I do think it is a combination of everything, like a bear, like a manged animal. There's probably is satanic shit going on out there ever since like these stories have been perpetuated throughout now since the 1990s. And it could also be, supernatural, like from out of this world that we don't even know about. Because I wish they touched on it a little bit more in the documentary of Small Town Monsters.
Of UFOs or...
Yeah, because they just mentioned it. It was almost like, I also captured these weird lights.
But how come we didn't see pictures of that, though?
I don't know.
Unless he didn't get them, or he just saw weird lights.
Well, you do see it in the documentary. You see like a quick snippet of it, and I don't know how they edit it, but it was... You only get bits and pieces of it. Even on here, like we can go and just type, like look throughout her whole website here. And there's like different questions and answers, like the frequently most thing that Linda Godfrey's seen, this cringe, and she talks about like just hiking. I think she has one of the best explanations for this, and it's just one of those things where it is a bunch of different animals or creatures. There's possibly something that we don't even know or really understand, but
there possibly is.
And also another thing that comes up too on her site too is about like the Bray Road itself, and also like the Native American lore behind it, and also like the creature. People heard of the term like Wendigo. Like they're just different types of beasts, and the different tribes that talked about that in the area. And it was what I thought was pretty cool. And doing a little bit of research, not enough, but like that whole Bray Road was a Native American like trail where they would go and like forage and get to the water and then hunt and stuff, and there was some weird stories. So it always makes me wonder too. I know they were very spiritual and supernaturalist,
Yeah, I mean,
like in their ways,
yeah.
but they also have the lore too where they talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, also they probably didn't even know what it was. Like if you see like a bear for the first time, you gonna know what the hell it is. Like if it can just stand up.
No, yeah.
And just look at you. Like I don't, way back when, like without like it really, you really know what it is. Maybe it was the first time you're seeing it. That's where could the legend, the lore come from.
Yeah, it's true.
And especially like if it's like deformed, or if it was deformed back then, like you're not gonna really know.
No, true. And if it's the first time you're seeing it, you're not gonna understand or have any idea of truly what it is.
No.
It also makes me wonder too, just with these stories. And, dating back to, I guess on her thing too, where she talks about in the newspaper, it happened in 1991. I heard different accounts too. I heard it happened on Halloween, in December, the Beast of Bray Road, like when the story originated from. And yeah, that was one of the things where you mentioned too, where you saw reports of it in 1936.
Yeah.
But that wasn't in the same county. On Linda Godfrey, she talks about it was in Jefferson County.
Yeah, that was 40 miles away, I guess, the first one.
So it does make sense if you think about it, and you think about like where they talk about the Michigan Dogman.
Sure.
And in like this whole area of Wisconsin, Michigan, and just this upper, I would say central northern part of America.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's been talked about too. It was on the show like Coast to Coast sightings. Inside Edition did actually an episode of this too, which was kind of interesting. I guess everybody, picks up this different lore of Bigfoots and supernatural cryptids. I guess every now and then they just do come into play. But yeah, I don't know. This story is definitely worth visiting if you're into this kind of stuff. And I would definitely recommend checking out.
What do you think it is then?
I really want to know more about like what this guy Lee was seeing on his property.
Just the mist and the lights?
With the mist and the lights, I would like to go into that more because I don't know if that really has a connection into the actual Beast of Bray Road.
You just think it's like ties into like the supernatural-ish?
Yeah, I don't know if that it's just something that's also happening there in the area that's going on.
Yeah. That
just can't be, I guess, explained by anything else. But like the Beast of Bray Road, I want to believe it's like real because it's just cool to think about like this werewolf.
Any of these stories, it's cool to, if they're real.
Which we never talked about too. Like, could it be like the supernatural, like the shape-shifting kind of like werewolf? Do you think it's possible for somebody to get bit and then change into a werewolf?
No, I wish it was. That would be pretty sweet if you have superpowers.
Because that's like the only thing like supernatural I could think of. If there really is something going on, it's probably like some person that got bit and doesn't even know, and they just change at certain times. But none of these accounts say like, "Ooh, it was a full moon" or anything like that. Most of it's just like I saw something on the side of the road while I was driving.
Yeah.
While we were passing through, and that's most of the accounts. Like obviously they're driving through, so how good can you actually see something on the side of the road?
Unless you stop and it's there.
There was accounts, some people do like live in the area and they said they seen some strange stuff. But other than that, it's like, I would think people out there, I don't know, maybe I'm giving them a little bit more credit that they would understand what these creatures were if you're seeing them a lot.
Sure.
But then again, I don't know. Like I do think it is a combination of a bunch of different animals
that people
and people are
together.
Are associated with this creature of the Beast of Bray Road.
I can see that.
And it's maybe it is a werewolf, a combination of a bear, and a bunch of maybe it is like just a crazy person living out there.
Maybe
like running around in the woods, and then
maybe they just have
catch
like
a glimpse.
Like skinned a bear or something and wear that as like a coat.
Right. It could be like a total hoax too.
It
Like
could be.
somebody could just say like, you know what, how many times did we do that as kids? You know,
Yeah,
like just
yeah.
try to play pranks on people driving by or
Sure, all
know,
the time.
doing weird stuff like that. So I think it could be one of those things. And that's the only thing that I could really, really think of
Sure.
with what this case is. So
Either way, I think it's pretty cool.
either way, it is pretty cool. But let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Thanks for tuning in to Case File 57, The Beast of Bray Road. So yes, check out our Patreon page, also our shop at Nightmare365.com, where you could buy a hoodie, t-shirt, long sleeve, stickers, help support the show. We do appreciate that. Also, I want to give a plug because right around the corner is the Creature Feature Weekend. So I'm going to link their website if you're into that kind of convention right by Gettysburg. It's in time for Labor Day, so go check them out as well. But thank you for tuning in, and, you know, as always,
Stay spooky.